Welcome back to another deep dive. Today, we're really getting into the thick of it, exploring the emotional world of Colleen Hoover's novel, Hopeless.
That's right. And while the book covers a lot, we're zeroing in on a specific storyline, the one about Daniel and Six, using the summaries we've got from Bookie as our guide.
Exactly. Our goal here is, well, it's to unpack how these really deeply buried secrets and unexpected truths can totally flip lives upside down, but also maybe forge stronger connections and find paths to healing. It's a story about, the pain truth can bring sometimes.
And the resilience you need to face hidden lies, plus that incredible power of love to change situations that seem, well, hopeless.
So for you listening, the big question we're looking at is, how do people actually cope when painful, forgotten memories bubble up?
Yeah. And what happens when secrets they've tried so hard to keep buried finally burst out? How does that just fundamentally change things? We'll dig into that by looking at the key moments from chapters 1 through 9, focusing on the characters, the big events, and, the themes that make their story resonate.
Okay, let's start right at the beginning then. Chapter 1. We meet Daniel. He's a college student, and he's already kind of struggling. Loneliness, anxiety. And a lot of that anxiety seems tied to his relationship with his girlfriend, Six. He's really worried she might break up with him. What does that tell us about him right off the bat?
Well, it's pretty striking how his internal struggle immediately points to a big issue. He avoids talking things through, directly anyway. He's insecure, clearly, and tends to, skirt around the hard conversations, which, as the source notes, is kind of a classic setup for misunderstandings. Big time.
Right. It's not just bad communication. It's like this fear underneath it all that's messing things up.
Exactly, that unaddressed fear.
And then, boom, Daniel drops this bombshell on his sister, Hannah, about a past unplanned pregnancy with someone else.
Yeah.
And Six found out. And that has just complicated everything between them. How does that secret immediately change things for him?
Oh, it's huge. That revelation is like the catalyst, right? It forces Daniel to face the very thing he's been dodging. And Hannah's advice telling him straight up to open up to Six, it's not just sisterly support. It really hammers home that idea that relationships thrive on honesty.
Yeah, and direct communication.
Direct communication. It's like challenge number one for him, setting the stage for him to hopefully move from avoiding things to actually facing them.
Okay, so, chapter 2. Daniel manages to find the courage, goes to see Six, and he finds her in a really vulnerable state. And through this, well, pretty strange conversation, an even deeper, really painful truth comes out. Six's own experience with pregnancy.
Yeah.
And giving up her baby for adoption.
Oh, yeah.
She talks about this profound emptiness she feels.
That moment is just,
Yeah.
well, it's gut-wrenching.
Yeah.
Because it shows how past trauma can just weave itself into everything, even joy.
Yeah.
Like her dislike for holidays, specifically because of the loss she experienced, it shows how deep that goes.
Yeah.
How it can make normally happy times just feel heavy.
And Daniel's reaction is so important here. He doesn't try to fix it, doesn't offer easy answers.
No.
He just tells her, I promise I will never talk about it unless you feel like talking about it. And then, I love you too, no matter what. That's powerful.
It really is. And it highlights something beyond just communication, right?
Sure.
It's about holding space. Yeah. Holding space for someone else's pain, even if you can't possibly understand it fully.
Yeah.
His unconditional support right then, just being there without judgment, that's the real bedrock of their connection, deepening.
So, chapter 3. Daniel feels this shift. Love, responsibility, maybe. He decides he needs to do something.
Right. He takes action.
He spends hours, just hours, calling adoption agencies, trying desperately to find any information about their son, but keeps hitting walls because it was a closed adoption. His sister Hannah and his friend Chunk try to help him brainstorm.
What's really noticeable here is the change in Daniel. From being kind of timid earlier, now we see this fierce persistence. Even though people probably told him to let it go, he's driven. He wants to ease Six's pain, and that pushes him to actively chase answers. There's a real transformation happening.
And then Hannah suggests something crucial. Contact Ava Roberts. She was the American teacher in Italy who helped Six with the adoption process.
Ah, okay. A possible link.
So Daniel calls her, and Ava, despite, the legal red tape, she agrees to pass his message along to the agency, just to find out if the child is okay.
And that whole closed adoption thing, for anyone listening who might not know, it means basically no contact or identifying info is shared between the birth and adoptive families. Legally.
Right. Creates huge hurdles.
Exactly. Huge challenges like we see here. It often leaves everyone, birth parents, adoptive parents, just in silence, uncertainty.
Yeah.
And Daniel deciding not to tell Six right away. That's
Wow. Wow. It really shows that tightrope walk between hope and the fear of just crushing disappointment. It's so delicate.
Then chapter 4 hits, and it's a huge turning point. They're getting ready for Friendsgiving, and Daniel gets a call, completely out of the blue.
A man identifies himself as the father of Daniel's child.
Whoa. Okay. The adoptive father, presumably.
Yes. The man says his family adopted the baby. He's expressing concern for his wife, for the child's well-being.
Right, and Daniel.
Daniel is just frantically trying to explain, look, he just needs to know if the child is healthy, if he's happy. He says it's for Six's sake.
That must have been incredibly intense, putting Daniel in such a conflicting spot.
Totally. The conversation's loaded with tension, leaves Daniel completely drained, and he tries to hide it from Six, which again shows how complex navigating this stuff is, even with someone you love.
Yeah, definitely. And it's around this time, too, that Daniel gets some, let's say, frank feedback from his friends, Brecken and Holder.
Ah, the nicknames. Powder Puff, Cheese Tits.
Right. Those nicknames kind of signal that maybe his friends see him as a bit insensitive sometimes, or maybe immature.
Okay.
And getting called out, even implicitly like that, it acts as a wake-up call. It pushes him to actually think about his words, his actions. It's another necessary one towards maturing.
Moving to chapter 5. This is where we see the breakthrough. But first, the tension ramps up. Daniel's just glued to his phone, waiting. The anxiety is so high, he actually snaps during a Monopoly game.
Oh, yeah, you can just feel that pressure building. It really shows how heavy that waiting period is. Like nothing can distract you from that gnawing worry and helplessness when so much is on the line.
And then finally, it happens. An email from someone named Quinn Wells.
Quinn Wells.
Daniel and Six read it together. And Quinn introduces herself. She's the adoptive mother of their son, Mateo.
Mateo. Wow, that must have been huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Quinn's email isn't just confirming things. It's like it rehumanizes the whole process, doesn't it? She shares her own struggles, her infertility, her incredible gratitude, calls Mateo a miraculous gift.
Yeah.
It completely shifts Daniel and Six's connection to their child. It gives them, as the source says, a chance for familial relationships to evolve, filled with love, gratitude.
You can just imagine the relief, the joy, the tears after all that uncertainty.
It's profound. Real healing, real hope starting to emerge there.
So, chapter 6. The mood is completely different now. Just palpable excitement. Six and Daniel have this amazing moment looking at Mateo's pictures, seeing bits of themselves in him.
It finally feels real.
Yeah.
Tangible.
It really does. It solidifies that connection for them, finally.
Yeah, it's like the culmination of that whole emotional roller coaster. It cements their bond as a couple, brings this incredible sense of fulfillment after everything they went through.
So, next logical step, they call Graham and Quinn, Mateo's adoptive parents. They express all this gratitude, say how eager they are to meet him.
And they find out he's in Connecticut.
Right. So they immediately make plans. Christmas break, they're going to meet their son.
Wow. That decision to actually go meet him, that ramps up the anticipation even more. And it leads them to make another big, brave choice, telling their families.
Yeah, which they know could be complicated. They expect a mix of reactions.
Understandably.
But they want to share the joy. And it shows how much they've grown, right? Taking responsibility. And their friends' reactions, first shock, then just hugs and cheers. That really shows how important that support system is, your community.
Absolutely. Solidarity in those huge life moments, it matters so much.
Okay, chapter 7. This is probably one of the most intense scenes Daniel and Six have to tell their parents, who were already anxious about something.
Oh boy, here we go.
They lay it all out. We had a child together last year. We gave him up for adoption in Italy. And now we're planning to go meet him.
Just imagine being those parents. Hearing that, Daniel's parents, their first reaction is just disbelief, like a whirlwind of emotions.
Yeah, thinking it's a joke, then shock, confusion.
But, and this is key, their love for Daniel seems to win out pretty quickly. Once they see the photos of Mateo, their grandson, that disbelief starts shifting towards acceptance. It's really powerful how love can just cut through the shock.
And there's that incredibly touching moment where Daniel's mom comforts Six, tells her, you have nothing to apologize for, nothing at all. We love you so much, Six.
Ah, that's beautiful. Just pure acceptance.
It really is. So healing for Six, you can imagine, solidifies her place, offers that comfort. It really underlines, like the source says, the healing power of understanding and forgiveness.
Definitely. And when Daniel names him Mateo,
Yeah.
it's like he's claiming that connection, that anticipation, it transforms this shocking news into embracing this new extended family.
Yeah, and they decide to make the trip to Connecticut private first. Just them. A new beginning. Hopeful.
A really hopeful journey starting.
So 3 weeks later, Chapter 8, they're there. Daniel and Six arrive at Graham and Quinn's house. First time. The nerves must be off the charts.
Oh, absolutely. Nervous excitement, but also that weight of responsibility. This is huge.
And there's this little moment where Daniel gets annoyed with their Uber driver for being insensitive.
Right, and it seems small, but it kind of highlights Daniel's protectiveness over Six now, and the seriousness, the gravity of what they're about to do compared to just, everyday life stuff.
Good point. So they meet Graham and Quinn, and then finally, Mateo.
The moment.
Six holds him, and Daniel describes feeling this mix, love, joy, and insecurity, just realizing how incredibly special it is. The source quotes his thought.
It's fucking beautiful. I just never want to forget this whole damn moment.
Goosebumps. That's just breathtaking. And then later, in the kitchen, Graham opens up a bit. Admits he was hesitant at first about letting them in.
Understandable.
Totally. But he says he empathized with their desperation, which shows incredible compassion. And it really highlights the complexities, but also the potential beauty of open adoption. That connection, those deep emotions, empathy bridging that gap.
So moving into the final chapter we're covering, Chapter 9. They end up staying for a week with Quinn and Graham.
Which is amazing. A chance to really connect.
Yeah, they fully embrace it. They bond, share stories, laugh. The camaraderie grows. And seeing Quinn and Graham's relationship, how loving it is, that inspires Daniel and Six too.
Yeah.
It reinforces that idea that, true love exists, and the people in this house are proof of that. It gives them something real to look towards.
And Six finds peace. She says she feels comfortable about Mateo, about the family he has now, which must be incredibly freeing for her.
Huge. A massive weight lifted, you'd imagine.
Daniel reflects, too, on how loving Six fills him up now. It's not about anxiety anymore, it's happiness. And they share this intimate moment, a kiss that just seals everything they've been through.
And when Six tells Daniel, you have no idea how much you've changed my life, and I finally feel connected again.
Wow, that just perfectly sums up love's power to transform.
To heal.
The chapter really leaves you feeling hopeful, optimistic for their future. Like they're building this solid foundation for happiness by facing their past head on.
So wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway for you, our listener, from Daniel and Six's story?
Well, I mean, it feels like a powerful reminder, doesn't it? That getting through life's curveballs, especially the ones involving secrets and really tough emotional choices, it takes immense courage.
Right.
Vulnerability, and just talking, open communication.
Absolutely. And looking bigger picture, it shows how love, sticking with it, being willing to face hard truths, doesn't just lead to personal growth. It can create totally new kinds of families, unexpected connections.
Right.
It really makes you think, how do we actually support the people we care about when they're at their most vulnerable? And it shows the power of acceptance, accepting others, accepting our own pasts.
Yeah, the story of Daniel, Six, and Mateo really drives home that even from situations that felt completely hopeless, connection, real healing, and joy can definitely emerge.
You can. Which leaves us with a question for you to maybe chew on. How might embracing the uncomfortable truths in your own life potentially open doors? Doors to unexpected connections, maybe profound growth?
That's a great thought to end on.
Think about those ripple effects. Honesty, empathy. What ripples do they create for you and for the people around you?